Hey YouTube, I'm Jerry Lowlife, and welcome to another episode of the entertainment industry. Thanks for tuning in. This is episode 8 of season 1 of the entertainment industry. So I appreciate you guys coming back and checking out the videos. Thank you so much. Just make sure you hit that little bell button. That way you guys get notified anytime you guys want to see a new episode. They typically are uploaded on Sunday, and my interviews are every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time over on my Facebook page. I'll have all those details in the descriptions below. Anyways, this is an interview with a good buddy of mine, Dave Davis. He's a tech for Mushroomhead. They're a band out of Ohio. He's worked for many other bands, and he's also been a touring wrestler. So stick around, check it out, see what we talked about, and enjoy the video. Man, when was it that we actually kind of crossed paths?
This story is awesome. And seeing your reaction a little bit ago when I told you, like, dude, you don't, and you're like, oh my God,
Right.
you're absolutely right. Like,
Yeah, it's so crazy.
It was right before like social media was just getting started, but you paid attention, but you didn't pay attention like you do now.
Right.
Social media didn't run everything like it does now.
Right.
And I'll never forget, dude. Like we were talking about you guys because it was like a Coca-Cola event center weekend, and you remember those shows always showcase full of bands, bro, like
Tons.
40 bands within 3 days or something.
Yep.
And you guys it was y'all's headline show coming back, and we were talking about that weekend. You're like, well, who are you really interested in seeing? I was like, dude, I'm gonna buy. I've been saving up. I'm gonna buy tickets. I'm freaking seeing Lowlife. I ain't seen this band since I was a kid. Like, I remember seeing you guys when I was in middle school and high school, like freaking out, like, oh my God. And you're like, I'll never forget. Yeah, and it didn't really dawn on me until now that I think about it. But
Yeah.
I really remember you just sitting back and you're like, oh my God. And then you're like, have you got your tickets yet? And I was like, man, bro, I'm buying my tickets at the door because I get paid tomorrow. And you're like, oh, really? And I'll never forget, you gave me 2 wristbands of Lowlifes. And you're like, here you go, bro. Come out.
Yep.
You're
sure
like,
did.
no story for you. I'm the drummer of Lowlife. And I'll never forget. I was like,
I remember. Yeah.
Because you didn't have the hawk, because I remember the hawk, but the older we get, because I had a mohawk.
Yeah, we became more aerodynamic.
Yeah. And we're hat bros now.
Yeah. Trying to save on gas, because when you're more aerodynamic, you're able to travel a little bit quicker.
Absolutely, dude.
That is so crazy, man. Like, and I felt bad, but I was like, I wanted to be honest with you. I was like, God, when was the first time I we met? I couldn't remember like when it was. And then the minute you started talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, that's what it was. Like, I remember it thoroughly now. So yeah, it's so crazy, man.
But if you remember too, after that, I mean, we really clicked and became closer, and we started hanging out, working more, and doing the passes, because too. Like at that time, I was big and doing stuff locally here.
Right.
I was just starting to dip my toes in, the tech.
I think that was the era where Sean was just fixing to kind of start leaving the Diamond, because he was going to do his electrician type thing. And then Sean kind of left me the reins for that. And that was like right before I was going to call it quits with Lowlife and start going out doing tours with Bleed the Sky. I think that's where that was. So
yeah, exactly where it was.
Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. So what influenced you to work in the music industry? Was there one thing that influenced you to do so, or was it just one thing? What was it exactly?
My love for music for
Okay.
one. But dude, what really made me like appreciate and love that I could do anything was, dude, this is gonna sound crazy. My very first big concert wise was Slipknot.
Okay.
And this was before social media and everything existed. Yahoo Launch was just there. YouTube wasn't even a thing. It was Yahoo Launch. Remember Yahoo Launch?
Uh-huh. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Where you stream videos and stuff. It was way before YouTube was ever a thing.
I
But
think I do
anyway,
remember it a little bit.
they had that, and then they had all the like MTV stuff, and like VH1 had that one show on there for a brief second. But
Okay.
man, I always remember hearing Corey Taylor's interviews, and he just did Stone Sour, and we were just starting to get the layers of him unmasked. And dude, I'll never forget. I was at the Coca-Cola Event Center,
Okay.
and dude, it was the Jägermeister tour, and it was with
Ah.
beer. And dude, what's funny is, Jerry, think about it, bro. It's all leads into the end. Like we all have had ties there.
Yeah,
You
I
had
know.
ties with
It's crazy.
Chimera,
Yeah.
Fear Factory,
Yep.
and Slipknot.
Yep.
Just saying, that was a big show.
Yep.
Anyway, that Death by Stereo was the opener. They weren't even on stage yet. Dude, doors had barely became open, and we were hanging out. And I went in, and my very first big concert as a kid, I'm livid. I'm like, oh my god! It was like the movie I always refer to everybody's first big rock concert or metal concert, Detroit Rock City. You always
Yeah.
gotta go convert to that movie.
Oh,
That's how it
absolutely.
felt to me, dude. And man, they had so many TVs and shit going on, and I'll never forget, dude. I heard Corey Taylor's voice in the background, and I look behind me, and there's a guy. He was with purple, blue, and black hair. He even had the Jack Skeleton beanie, and man, he was on his razor. Remember razors?
Oh,
He
yeah.
was
Yeah.
texting on, or he was dialing on his razor, and he goes, "Hey man," uh, and he was he paused, and I was like, "Oh man, that's a poser." Remember how poser was a thing back then?
Mhm.
And I was just all like, "That's a poser. Want to try be Corey Taylor." And I turn back around, and I'm just mesmerized, and then I hear that voice again. And I turn around because, dude, may I remind you, if anybody knows Corey Taylor, they know he's not that big. He is short. Like that dude he looks like a giant on stage, but in real life, he's like literally that much taller than me. He's not much taller than me at all. And
Mhm.
I just never forget. I saw him and we were cool because I always it's when you had to read on bands and like sort of study bands to know who they were. I
Right.
always remember in interviews reading on Circus Magazine. Remember Circus Magazine? Like one of the best metal reads ever, dude. And
Right.
I'll never forget. I had it as in an article hung up on my room. It's that Corey Taylor had said in an interview. He goes, "Man, if you ever see me in concert live and hanging out in the crowd, don't come up to me like I'm in the band. Just come up to me like I'm your bro, like I'm your friend."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Yo, what up, Corey?" And he looks at me, he's like, "Hey, bro, nobody really knows who I am. So can we keep it like that?" I was like, "Of course." I was like, "Well, we really keep it like that, and I'll make sure they're cool like me if I go get my other friends and like you're hanging with people." And he goes, "All right, as long as they're cool like you, I'm down." So I go get my friends, and dude, you know Keaton and Toucan, who works for Toucan now.
Yes.
Dude, Keaton, me and him, we go way, way back. And I told Keaton, I was like, "Yo, dude, fucking Corey Taylor's over there. We just gotta be fucking cool." And all my friends, they thought I was full of shit. I had to tell them, "I give you the $100 in cash I have, my two brand new Slipknot shirts, and some weed if I'm lying." And everybody's all like, "All right, we're about to get $100, some Slipknot swag, and some weed." So they go, and I will never forget everybody's face when we walked over there. Everybody's jaw just like dropped to the ground, and Corey hung out with us for like an hour, dude. And then the show started, and he walked off and said, "Have a great night, guys. And if I see y'all tonight, I'll sign whatever you want."
Yeah.
And man, right then and there, I was all like, dude,
Corey's
it
a
does.
good dude, man. He's a
Oh
really
man,
very humble guy. Like,
still
through the
this.
years and all the times that I've met him, even from the time when they first and we did shows with him here in Oklahoma, like back when they were in a school bus, So when he's just always had a really good humble value to his self in life, and it's always been consistent every time I've met him. He's just been a very good person. So
Dude, same here. And what was just funny, a while back, we were at we had set up Slipknot in Durant, and right after the show, he was walking by, and man, I was working backline, and he just sort of stumbled. He goes, "Bro, you've been around forever." And he didn't know my name, but just to know he remembered my face
yeah,
because he's met
that's
me
awesome.
numerous times. And
That's
just to
awesome.
remember he knew my face was just humbling, bro.
Heck
And
yeah,
like
man.
I said, what really got me in my love, it may sound as weird as it sounds, it was that day when, I used to get told, you can't do this, you can't do that of your size.
Right.
And dude, I sort of put that off the back burner. And that right there, him and Weed Man showed me life like in a whole new light. Like, dude, you can be short and you can have as much fun and be the biggest person and giant you can ever be. It's all who you are in here instead of actual height wise.
That's correct. Absolutely. Yeah. There's nothing that, no matter what you think and what people from the masses can tell you, what you can and cannot do, the only thing that's ever going to deter you from doing that is yourself. And that's
Exactly.
it. There ain't nobody out there that's ever going to take that away from you unless you let
Nope.
it happen yourself. And that's it.
Nope.
End of story.
It,
So,
it was like one of my all-time favorite stories, dude. And I really hate the word can't. Can't
right.
is not in my vocab.
Yep.
My favorite story is the little engine that cooks. Man, that's me, bro. I
Right.
connect with him so well.
Right.
People's like, you can't go tour, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Yep.
And I mean, dude, what was crazy is like back in middle school, I wanted to play football all throughout elementary school. And dude, what broke my heart was the very first day of sixth grade was, man, all that time I was getting anxious to get into football. Man, uh I got told, man, the coach just looked at me. He didn't give me a chance to try out anything. He goes, I don't have a jersey to fit you. You're too short, you're too little. Goodbye.
Wow.
And man, bro, like one a few times somebody like really hurt me about my size. I was just all like,
That sucks. Wow.
dude, like wow. But right then as a kid, it showed me that no matter how old you are, people are just heartless, dude. They don't care.
Yeah.
And dude, it sort of like took me back. And my dad was like, "Yo, boy, you ready to go to the?" I was like,
Right. Right.
"We're not even going to get a physical."
So what was you already kind of talked about this too, and it's going into my next question was, what was your first job in the music industry? Like, what was the very, very first job you ever did?
Very first job I ever did, bro, was I'll never forget. I was like 17 doing the IOT. I did one or two shows with them, and bro, everybody was saying, "Hey, man, he's a midget." Nobody ID'd me then, and because everybody was scared, they're like,
Yeah.
uh, discrimination. Don't even ask. And this was sort of when the union was paying a few people under the table. They cut checks, but there was a few people they'd sort of do this,
Right.
and I was just somehow got in that range where they didn't do no legal documents. Well, come to the end of the year, we're about to do taxes, and they needed to do my paperwork and get my tax form from me,
Right. 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 Right.
and I did it. And dude, they start reading my birthday year, and uh, you're not 18 there, guy. And I had forgot to put my fake year. My fake year. I was like, oops. And they're like, hit us up when you're 18. So I do shows every once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
when I could. But dude, I also work in the food industry too,
Okay.
the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
grocery store industry. You know how it is when you're a kid getting the first
Yeah,
jobs
you're
and
just trying to
stuff.
get your foot in the door. You're just
You,
trying
they,
to
they,
live
they,
life. You're just making some chump change there for a
it,
minute, and you're just trying to
exactly.
figure it out. You know, just want to
And,
figure it
and
out.
two, and two, we all know when you're first getting in the entertainment business, definitely when you had started with the union, when our union was a thing back then, it was always people started off as standby and when you worked your way up from standby.
Right. Or
And, and
it was more or less too who you knew. So, you know,
exactly. Well, as soon as my name, as soon as I got my foot in the door, and then everybody's all like, what once again, this is sort of where I've become blessed with, dude. Like everybody sort of like, and dude, people would start thinking it was cool that I was a midget. And when that was a thing, it just started leading to more people that I would find. And the one guy we all know and love, Max Baker, is where I was about, who found me and got me really my name in the whole industry, dude.
mhm.
I mean, everybody got their stories on Max. I love Max to death, dude.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
that dude is like a father to me in this industry. And even though I have a great father, but Max, dude, he really helped me get my rope. And like, there was so many Baker boys at that time. They're like, dude, this guy's a gimmick. He's just a little dude trying to, throw his midgetness out there. And but then everybody started seeing me work because everybody would throw me on the snake on the trough. Hey,
That sounds like jealousy to me, to be
uh,
honest.
oh yeah, it was, but once again, going back to my favorite story, the little engine that could. People's like, man, that little guy, give him the snake. Make him go through the mud and the trenches, and he can't go do that. Or give him the big hard jobs. He can't do that. And guess what?
Right.
He did and kept doing it. And
So
kept doing it. And kept doing it.
what was your first band you ever worked for?
It was either Bon Jovi or Kenny Chesney.
Like you actually toured with them?
Oh, no, no. My first band I ever
Like
toured
you
with.
actually worked, what was the first band you actually worked for?
Worked for, I did one or two shows with the Ricketts, but like to actually get me out on the open road
Yeah?
was bam,
Okay.
everybody.
There you go.
My
Absolutely.
my one guy who really helped me, the two biggest guys who helped me on my career, and you've known them for over the years too, as big bands as all you three have been in.
Yeah.
We had we had Ty Gay from the Lure days and White Fall days.
Yep.
Then we had Provo from Odd Kick and Ricketts, and I did a few shows with the Ricketts, and
Yeah.
well, I'll never forget. They didn't even call their name yet, and the pro was like, "Dude, you remember Ty from Lure?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm about to start some music with him." And then I was all like, dude, I mean, if you were in Oklahoma scene, everybody knows some of the biggest local names back in that day were like the likes of Ricketts, the likes of Element, the likes of Lowlife, and Lure and
Yeah.
stuff of that nature, and Spooky Fruit.
Right.
And, when I heard Ricketts and Lure was hooking up, like that was a super group, dude. And Provo was telling me that. And what was funny was when Provo told me that, they had already plotted, bro, because they knew I wanted to get serious in the bands. But what was funny was when Provo said that, I was like, hey dog, when you guys start doing shows, I'm your guy. I'm your stage manager. I'm your tech. You're gonna give me my first ropes. You let me, build me to be the tech you want. Build me to be your ultimate guy. And that what was just funny was they had already started talking about it. They're like, dude, if we're gonna give anybody a shot, let's get somebody new, a new blood, and somebody who's hungry, somebody who not just wants to be here to get drunk and fucked up. Granted, I had my few stories there, but that's besides the
But even
point.
getting started in that point too, it's like, with me as well, where I can relate with you on it is, for yours was, everybody panic, mine was bleed the sky. I was out making more money than the bleed the sky guys were, because they were like paying me,
Absolutely.
even though it wasn't much. I was making literally like $20 a week. you
Bro,
know,
what
and
what
I'm
what
sure
was
you were in the same boat. I'm sure it was
oh,
like,
oh yeah.
like you
Yeah,
guys were literally living on writers and stuff like that. If people were providing the food when you got there, or what it was, I don't know the
dude,
situation, but
yeah,
I could
dude,
definitely
I mean,
relate
we
to
got
it.
lucky. And man, what was funny too was, man, what was crazy was when we started touring as Panic, like we had been touring and sleeping at Walmart parking lots,
Yeah.
those days.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
dude, when you hear shower, you're like, and the venues ain't got really a lot of good showers, and
Yeah,
you got to go
showers.
truck
What are
stop.
that, dude? Feeking, I was in a van
Exactly.
full of like
But
9 guys. Like,
but
dude, it was
see,
just like
what was crazy
brutal.
was we started when I was with Panic. I'll never forget. One night we were touring with the band called Seasons After, and we're touring with those guys, and they're like, man, these cats would be freshly showered, like take 2 or 3 showers a day. And we're like, how are you guys doing this? And they're like, dog, fuck truck stops. Have y'all ever been to Planet Fitness? So if
Yeah.
you're an upcoming tour band, you can buy one membership, bring a buddy in, you guys get ultimate showers. So if you're an upcoming band, get Planet Fitness memberships. You're hearing that right here. Like, I
There you
highly
go.
suggest that.
Secret,
Dude,
secret to
secret code right
success.
there. I mean, bro, Jerry, you know how it is when how
Yeah.
grumpy you get being on the road with no showers for days on end, and
Oh yeah.
and people that they're all like, really, you guys don't take a shower like unless you go on that butt fan, and people they think this is still the 90s and 80s and 70s where record deals are still a big thing, and you're living it big, oh, you're on tour, bro. You must be bringing in all the bread and
All
dough.
right. Yeah.
And you're like, bro, this
Nope.
is how I'm bringing my dough in. Hey, I got $5 CDs. Help me get to the next town or get a
Yeah.
dollar sandwich. Help
Yeah.
us out.
Yeah.
You remember those
Exactly.
days, bro?
Exactly.
And, and,
So
and, man, it's sticking the trenches, bro. You owe it to everybody's all like, well, how did you end up working with Mushroomhead? Did you just end up there and saw like, no, bro, you don't understand how long I dig those trenches for.
yeah.
How physical, like dude, it's just like anybody who gets like my other career, professional wrestling. Everybody thinks of names
Right.
of
Right.
like The
Right. Right.
Rock and
Right.
stuff like that. They think they just became big overnight. Like, no, bro, they actually did the work. They did the climb,
Yeah, it's a
like the
lot of work
hustle, the
for anyone to
grind.
do. It's like any job out there, anything you want to do. I mean, it's different than most jobs, but at the end of the day, nothing's going to just do itself. Like you got to work at it. And not only do you have to work at it in this day and age, like it's not the 80s anymore. Everybody that has a laptop or drum kit or a guitar or any of that kind of stuff instantly can upload anything and have a Facebook page or whatnot. And then before you know
Yeah,
that, it's oversaturated and you have like 1,000 bands trying to tour during the summer. And then people can't just go to, I don't know, one person that can afford to go see 100 bands, more or less 1,000 bands. So it's like people start picking and choosing where they go. And so the concert goers and everybody that goes to shows, it starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller and harder and harder and harder for bands to keep on their feet. And it's crazy, man. Absolutely
yeah,
crazy. What got you started in wrestling? What got you going in that direction?
bro, I will never forget it. At the time, there was a dude named Kev. He was the Extreme Midget wrestler, uh, manager and tour manager at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude lived here in Oklahoma. He lived out in Yukon, where I was from, where I was living at the time. Anyway, everybody had, I guess, been telling Extreme Midget Wrestling about me.
Yeah.
And dude, you know how many people would mess with me and stuff with midget stuff. Well, man, there was a 405 number that popped up on my area code, and it was just so funny. I was like, "Ah, I don't know this number." Voicemail. And out of nowhere, you hear, "Hey, man, this is Kev with the Extreme Midget Wrestling. We're looking for the one and only Dave Davis. And we've heard so much about you, Mr. Mini, and that you're the Oklahoma's biggest midget, one of them. And we want you to start with Extreme Midget Wrestling." I mean, bro, it was like if I was watching a Hulk Hogan promo or something, like
Holy
listening.
crap.
I'm just all like, and I was with one of my family members. I'm like, my cousins. I'm like, dude, do you hear this? And he goes, I'm like, man, somebody's fucking with me. And then as we're listening to the voicemail, they're all like, hey, man. And I answer, and they're like, hey, dude, is this David Davis? I was like, yeah. They're like, we're going on tour tomorrow. I mean, dude, it was like one of those instances where it was almost too good to be true, bro.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was just all like, I was like, I don't know if I can really go on tour. I got to call my job because, dude, I was working for Max.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
bro, I called Max. And this is one thing I love about
Those are
Max.
life decisions, man. Those are things that
Dude,
come up where you have to pick and choose where you're going to go, you know?
it is. And what was just so epic was even though I was doing little tours with bands, but and had been doing some stuff with like Skin Lab and doing sort of bigger little clubs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like what really got me, like I'd always been the guy behind the scenes, Jerry.
Yeah.
This was the time like I actually got to be the guy instead of setting up the scenes. No, everybody's coming to see me. One of the people to see me.
Right.
And it was crazy. And so I call Max and I'm like, hey, dude, I don't know if this is a joke. I don't know if they're messing with me. And man, Max goes, what do you want to do? I was like, man, I'd sort of like to go and check it out. I mean, what if it's not a joke? So this is straight what Max said. He goes, if it's a joke, you get to laugh years on. And it may hurt, may sting for a second, but you get a laugh years on. But what if it's true? What if you miss out and you're having that what if that?
Yeah. You
He
never
goes,
want to say what if, that's for
yeah,
sure.
dude, for sure, the what if factor. And he goes, I'm going to tell you now, if you don't take this, you're fired. And so it was pretty much Max's way of going, hey, sink or swim.
Yeah.
And so anyway, the next day I was like, yeah, I'll go on tour. So they hit me up, and the next day Kev picks me up with a van and trailer, nothing out of the ordinary.
Right.
But guess what's missing, bro?
What's that?
Midgets. Where's the midgets? And he goes, oh, they're all at the hotel. They're all at the hotel. Bro, I'm just saying, like, as I'm a short person myself, I've never seen that many short people in my life before.
Yeah.
Obviously, now I have.
Right. Right.
But,
Right.
dude, when we went to a hotel, I started seeing all the hotel doors open, and they're all in the second floor. I start seeing, like, these little heads, like, pop up like this. And I'm like, oh my God, this is real. This is like, I went from being the shortest guy to, besides the tour manager and the driver, I was the biggest guy on the roster.
Okay.
And I was like, what always cracks everybody up, and watch, the chat's gonna blow up on this one. I was the Andre the Giant of the midgets, bro.
Do what?
I was the Andre the Giant of the midgets.
Okay.
Like the
Okay.
big guy. And like what would be funny is when we were on tour and I'd be with all the midgets, and everybody in the crowd, whenever I'm fighting them and stuff, they're like, "You're not a midget. You're not a midget." And then when I
Oh, okay.
and then because I'm the big guy,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
all of them's like here, and when they stand up next to me, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought you were a bully, but you're legit a midget. You're borderline." And I'll never forget when all the midgets first saw me, they're like, "Oh my god, he's here." And I'm like, "Who?" "You." And I'm like, "Me?
Yeah.
What about me?" And they're like, "You're the one big guy we're looking for. The dude who barely pushes the limits of being a midget. You're the big guy. You're the Andre." And when they said the Andre, I'll always references, "I'm the Andre Giant of the."
That's awesome. I mean,
And
that takes presence, and I can understand that because I did a little bit of research, and I've known you through the years. So I have obviously like looked through your pictures and liked them and commented and stuff like that. So yeah, I've seen some of those pictures where like you are definitely like the bigger person in most of those pictures, you know.
yeah,
So
I
that's
had
really
mo
cool though. That's awesome, man. That's a
I
good
had like
story on
one
how
or
you
two
got in on
guys.
it.
Yeah, I had like one or two guys every once in a while that'd be like my height or like that much shorter than me or something, but they really liked having me as like the showcase.
Right.
And what so we're going in because you were asking about
Yeah,
Vinnie Paul.
so I wanted to go back to that story, like what we were talking about. Like, let's go back now. So, because now it makes sense, you know, because we're talking about, because there might be people in here that are watching that have no idea who any of us are. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And they
yeah,
need that backstory to know about the question. So, kind of
of
going
course.
back to what Shannon was like, craziest story you have. So, we were talking off camera before the interview, guys, and Dave was sharing the story that he had because I showed a drumstick. I was showing this guy right here. This was a drumstick that Vinnie Paul gave me back in the day. And
Love you,
this was
Vinny.
actually, this was from Australia when I was doing tours out there, but it was festivals. Anyways, off subject, but I was asking him, hey, what's your craziest story, you know? And he was like, oh, let me tell you about this one story with Vinnie Paul. So go ahead.
Dude, so one time I was in midget wrestling. We had like a week off. And me and my buddy Mike Hawk, we were already in the hotel for 4 days. And man, Jerry, you know, being either an artist or even, you know, a roadie,
Just
money,
genuinely
the
being
tour,
on the road. Yes.
you know, stuff can be expensive. Definitely when you're paying bills at home and then you got the extra life on the road. Everybody thinks it's all free. Nah, man, that's
Nope.
no, not at all. We're not in the 80s or
And
90s.
I'd like to
It
add to this though, days off were cool, but they also sucked because there were
costs money. They
days that
cost
you were
money.
having to spend money and you weren't making
Yeah,
money. So
yeah, no. Days off, like whenever I was with Shroom, and we'll get back to it. Skinny's philosophy, days off was too much money spent, and I agreed with that.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
and anyway, so we were off for 4 days, and man, one of my friends, me and Hawk, we didn't have no food that night. We're starting to run low on funds, and we're all like, "What the fuck are we gonna do?" And we still got like 4 more nights here because it's Super Bowl weekend. It was on a Thursday night,
Yeah.
and my buddy Pierce ended up hitting me up. He was like, "Hey, bro, you and your boys should come out to my place, get your money back for the other nights for the hotel, and you can just stay with me." And he ended up buying us a pizza that night. But the next day, he came and got us that next morning. And then later on that night, we went. Later on that next day, we went to explore Dallas and do fun things. One thing we always got told about was Vinnie Paul's strip club. Well, hell
Right.
yeah, it just concluded a tour. And we went there, and lo and behold, Finney's there. Anyway, man, we're all having fun at our table, drinking, whatever. Man, it felt like one of them fucking movies, dude, where you see all the guys in the security, the black tuxedos and all black, just they surround the table, and that they're all they got like those security things they can the walkie like the mics they put in the ears and stuff, and they
Yeah.
talk to
Yeah.
each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Bro, they all had that. It looked like some Secret Service type shit. And dude, I mean that
I want to
when you're
add to that.
surrounded.
I want to add to that really quick in that story because when you're telling me about that part, it makes me think of the guy that was always around Vinny. And Vinny had a security guy that was with him always. And unfortunately, it was when Dime got shot on stage. And after all that stuff happened, he had a security guard and his name was Cowboy. He was like a big dude, huge guy.
What's
wore
funny
a cowboy hat always. So like
it was Cowboy.
Yeah, anytime Vinny would even just go to the bathroom, dude, Cowboy was like there with him. Like no matter where he went, Cowboy was there. So anyways, that's what I was thinking about too, is like the security guys that were around him always, Cowboy had to be there. But continue.
Oh, he was. And so anyway, they go, hey, you two. And they pointed at me and Mike Cock. And they're like, you two come with us now. Vinny wants to speak to you. Me and Hawk's just all like, us? Yeah, you two get little guys. Come on, let's go. And we're all like, okay, we better go, bro. We're like, can we take our drinks? Like,
right.
Because what if this is our last drink? What if you're taking us to jail or something?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, what's going on? What are we doing?
What's going on? We're just sort of baffled because they didn't tell us who wanted to see us or nothing.
Yeah.
And we're with the big crowd, may I remind you, bro. And to pick on the two little guys, like, what the hell? So anyway, we go and follow them, and dude, we go back into the VIP lounge, and they're like, Vinny's waiting to see you. And we're all like, we're both big Vinny Paul fans, you know, both listen to metal. We're like,
yeah.
Oh my God, Vinny's here? And we go, and he goes, man, Vinny with his big smile. Anybody who knows Vinny was one of the most loving people, dude, like ever. And one of the biggest, hardest people. If you really got to sit down and talk with Vinny was cool people, man. And I've had that pleasure. And Vinny Paul, he goes, hey, man, I heard you guys are like two midget fighters or something. We're like, we're midget wrestlers. He goes, man, the Super Bowl was the next night. He was like, I'm looking. He goes, the halftime show this year sucks. I can't remember who the halftime show was that year. He's like, it sucks this year. And he goes, I'm looking to have my own halftime show. And I think it would be funny to have two midgets duke it out. He goes, I'm willing to pay y'all like $500 a piece tomorrow night. Me and Hawks just all like, you know, I'm just telling you guys, when we're broke and, you know, about to start another tour. We're like, all right. He goes, so what if I give you guys $200 a piece right now to show me some shit? And man, without a doubt, me and Hawk, we just look at each other and Fish just went, bah, 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 bah. I mean,
crazy,
it was another day in the office, bro.
That was crazy.
I mean, when Vinny Paul is willing to pay you $200,
so how long did you guys carry that on? Like, what did you guys like just beat each other's ass for like freaking an hour or like half?
It was probably about a good 10 minutes. Vinny Paul was just his side was hurting, and two, you know, the strip club was big and all, but it wasn't really that big.
Yeah.
So Vinny was like, that's cool, but because two, Vinny was like, I want to get my $1,000 worth my money tomorrow night. That's where I want it. And
okay.
dude, with halftime show, we gotta fight all around Vinny Paul's house. Like, dude, we were fighting around the pool. We were fighting everywhere. And Vinny and everybody's following us with their cameras. They're like, we got midgets. And
did you guys take breaks at all, or were you just like, was it just constant?
Bro, constant. Like a lot of people, they're like, oh man, wrestling's fake, wrestling's this and that. Bro, they only see what you see on TV. They don't get to see all these big indie guys, all these guys like midget wrestlers. Like, dude, guys who are going, and you know, we're not big rosters like WWE, who's got like 50 to 100 guys. We got 4 to 8 guys. So we're having to wrestle literally, you know, 3-4 times a night, bro, out of like an 8-match card.
That's crazy.
And you know, our matches, they're not 10 minutes. They're freaking 30 to 45 minutes. Like,
holy
crap. Dude, people don't understand. We legitimately have to do a 3-hour
show. Yeah, dude.
Sometimes.
I can only imagine. Like,
and dude, I mean, it would just be so crazy. They're like, oh man, it's fake. And it's all like, bro, I show my arms. I'm like, You tell me it's fake. You go out there and
Right.
do what we do.
Right. Right.
And like, we're not WWE. We didn't have the budget. If anybody's ever a wrestling fan, they've seen these indies. They don't got the big fat thick pads on the ground outside when you land, whether it's concrete, whether it's gravel, dirt road. I've wrestled on some pretty, just like us building stages,
Yeah.
same stuff applies. I wrestled in a freaking one of them derby matches, those death derbies where the cars plow into each other. Like
Wow.
we were wrestling, and I kid you not, bro. What I did this gorilla press where you pick up the guy like this and you throw him out, right?
Yeah.
He fell in a hole, bro, and he got sliced by a piece of car. A thing of car was still there. He
Holy
got
crap.
sliced, bro. But like, people do not understand the dangers sometimes we go through.
No, I mean, that's freaking crazy.
And they're like, oh, that's fake.
What was like maybe the craziest stage setup like you've ever had to, like, being a wrestler? Like, where was the craziest place you've ever like wrestled at? Was there like a cool crazy venue, or like maybe it was like outdoors in like a freaking forest area?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
no, what one of the craziest shows, dude, and I did a couple of them. Bro, my very first show, I wrestled, and bro, like every match we had a different couple thousand crowd. Like,
yeah.
we wrestled in the fucking pit of NASCAR, dude. Like,
Oh,
I've done
wow.
Daytona,
That's
I've done
awesome.
Texas Motor Speedway,
Nice.
and bro, I mean, we're wrestling. We're this is before NASCAR is even starting. But like, when they're all partying in the pits and stuff,
Right.
and ESPN's going
All the people
around
in the middle, like parked in the middle and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And ESPN, because there's concerts, there's all sorts of stuff. Because
Yeah.
when we ended, there would be the freak show going on, or there'd be a band over here going on, or somewhere over here, there'd be somebody getting shot out of a cannon, crazy
Right.
times,
Right.
man.
That is
And
crazy. That's awesome.
what really made me a star, bro, it's funny because you said you've toured with Kiss. In a way, I've toured with Kiss. But you know what Kiss I got to tour with? And it's so fitting because it's my name. I toured with Mini Kiss, bro.
Yeah.
With Mini Kiss and Extreme Midget Wrestling. And, bro, we would start off the show. Mini Kiss would pop off the night because, you always want to see a badass rock show after you just witness midgets kick their asses for 3 hours. What better way to close out 45 minutes to the next hour with Mini fucking Kiss?
That's
freaking
awesome.
Dude, we did a summer tour, bro. We did 40 dates. And Mini Gene, bro, my bud Gino, man. Every time he would fucking, bro, I'd bring him into the midget wrestling. The freak. He's this big midget. And man, it would be so funny. I'd get Mini Gene. I'd pick him up like this.
Yeah.
And then Mini Gene would spit blood at me like if he was Gene Simmons. And then he would always choke slam me, like big choke slam the big guy. And he'd be like, oh, and the crowd would just pop, bro.
That's awesome.
One time, man, I know you know a lot, probably been to a lot of House of Blues.
Yeah.
My favorite, without a doubt, my favorite ever House of Blues is Chicago.
Yeah. Chicago has a pretty good one.
What I love about Chicago, it literally, remember the old Batman movies like Gotham City with the statues and shit. That's what fucking the House of Blues in Chicago reminds me of. It's like a real life Gotham City. Like with all the big statues they got in there.
There's one. I was wondering if you've been to this one. Have you been to the one in Myrtle Beach?
Yes.
So that one tripped me out because what was crazy is, and I'm sure you probably have experienced this, but I experienced it in a whole other way. But it was crazy. So we're loading everything onto the stage, right? And I have the drum, let's just fast forward. I have the drum kit set up. It's on a riser and everything, and it can roll around, right? So I'm sitting there and there's curtains right to my, like, if I turned my seat, there'd be like curtains right here, you know? So I'm like
Yeah.
messing with all this electronic stuff. I'm not looking up and around, but I'm messing with this electronic stuff. And I start getting this like vertigo feeling. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm like freaking out. Like I thought I was tripping out. And because I see the curtains moving next to me, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And I'm like looking at the floor, and the floor's moving. I'm freaking
Yeah.
the fuck out. I'm like, what is going on? Oh, and like everyone's like laughing. And what it is the whole stage is on hydraulics. So the entire stage rises up in the air, like the whole stage. So you can roll like cabinets and everything to it, and then like it goes up in the air, and then like they do their show, and then when they're done for loadout, like in between the shows, they'll like they'll lower the entire stage down, and then you just roll stuff off of it. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I was like, oh my God, an entire stage that's on hydraulics. Anyways, Chicago House of Blues.
Yes, so Chicago House of Blues, and I wrestled there a couple of times, but man, my favorite time out there, like to me, definitely when I was a kid, I knew a lot of people from Chicago, families and stuff of that nature, and dude, I was always the biggest Bulls fan, a biggest, freaking. When I was a kid, a lot of my friends, everybody rooted for Green Bay, and I'm a Bear fan when I was a kid. So I always had to be the opposite of everybody.
Yeah.
And I ended up knowing some people in Chicago from touring with bands and stuff. And man, the very first time I was ever in Chicago, they told me, and we wrestled at the House of Blues. They're like, "Freak, since you know some people here, bro, you're the big guy tonight." Not like the little big guy, but they're like, "You're champ tonight, bud. Even though you're heel, but you're the guy tonight." And normally the whole crowd would boo the Freak. And what was cool with the Freak's character, since he was a mask, or like back then, I would sort of do a mask or face paint or both.
Right.
We would always be like, I would be like from some local mental institution from that state or something.
Right.
So that night, bro, it was just, dude, you can already imagine how awesome the production was for this show.
Yeah.
Like, because, dude, extreme midget wrestling, we would go anywhere from little dive bars to little, like, big coliseums and stadiums in Canada.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I wrestled in Canada in front of 8,000 people. You know how insane that was?
That's
Like,
freaking cool.
dude, I mean, and back when I was wrestling, like at first, I got told, "You're gonna be the bad guy. You're gonna be the heel," and I'm like, "I don't want people me. I don't want that." And
Yeah.
they're like, one of the best heels in this industry, Nasty Boy, was like, "Nah, you want to be the heel. You get a kick cast," and he goes, "How easy is it to get the good guy to cheer for the good guy, to feel sorry for the good guy?"
Right.
And he goes, you know how much it takes to be the heel? To get that much heat, to get them to hate you, to get them to boo for you, and to get their hearts out for that. You know how hard that takes?" And bro, he goes, at the end of the day, even if they're booing you, you're doing your job.
Yeah.
And oh my God, when he said that, it clicked. Cause dude, I wasn't the guy getting my ass beat around the whole ring. I'm the guy kicking ass around the whole ring.
Yeah.
And it would be so funny, dude. But that night, like the whole crowd, you've been on tour, you know how crazy Chicago is. Chicago, no matter what it is
Chicago's
I've ever
great, man.
done, dude, Chicago is always a great time.
Well, and for
Great
bands,
time.
especially like, and this is going off subject, but for bands like you and I worked for, like, I'm sure like Mushroomhead, I wasn't there, but I can only assume. But like Fear Factory, the reasons why I say Fear Factory is because Fear Factory was metal industrial. And so like a lot of people love industrial music in Chicago. So I can only imagine I'm sure Mushroomhead did very well in Chicago as well. So
bro, the couple times I was out there, amazing.
Yeah.
And what was crazy is like, dude, I went back and we got to do the show. Like I had done a couple of shows at the Agora with Mushroomhead and stuff of that nature, and like Panic. But what was crazy was one night I got to do the Agora and the not the big theater, but you know how the Agora has the ballroom
Yes.
in
Yep.
there too.
Hmm.
And so we got to do the ballroom, bro. And it was nuts. And man, what was sort of crazy, I didn't wrestling for so long, bro. And I took like 5 or 6 years off.
Yeah.
And dude, that's when I was also doing I was so busy back then, Jerry. You remember, bro, I was
Yeah.
doing bands, I was doing wrestling, I was
Dude,
doing local stuff.
all I could
I
see
mean,
were like pictures and things like that because I was
oh, I
gone
know we were both
myself.
busy.
You know, we're just
And
gone.
you know, it
So,
was a nonstop roller coaster,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
And man, when we got there, but like I'll just never forget when we got to when I got to wrestle in outside of Cleveland. Man, one of the last tours I did wrestling on, Mushroom had one of their mask makers, Kisner.
Hmm.
At this point I had knew so many Mushroomhead fans because of so many groups and just working for them. I was
Right.
blessed,
Right.
and I'm sure it's the same way with super fans with Fear Factory and stuff. You know, they
Yeah.
find ties with you and stuff like that. You know,
Absolutely.
same story with Mushroomhead. So man, there was a couple private groups in Facebook that I'm in too with that stuff, and so I had asked the Mushroomhead community, I was like, "Hey, is there?" Because man, uh, TSA wouldn't let me fly out with my masks and stuff because
Hmm.
it was like the day after 9/11, and they're like, "You can't fly out without your mask because you know security and everything." They thought I was going to shoot up the airport, and so they ended up taking my masks. And so I get there and I have to go to a Halloween store, get a cheapo depot mask, and it starts ripping on me.
Hmm.
And so I hurry and send out a message or a post. Bro, Kisner, one of Mushroomhead's guys who makes their sculpts for him, ends up hitting messaging me on my comments, goes, and I'm good friends with Kisner, may I remind you. He goes, "Hmm, I may know somebody."
Yeah.
And bro, he ends up messaging me and was like, "Yo, bro, what you looking for?" And you know the price and everything. I can't really talk about it, but it was a sweet deal on my part.
Yeah.
But you know, he goes, he worked out a great deal with me. And dude, he that clown mask, the one you see me doing this on the
Yeah.
picture
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
got,
Yeah.
bro, Kisner, the guy who makes Mushroomhead, and whenever I got into wrestling, I always wanted them to do my mask or something.
Right.
Kisner did that mask, bro.
That's awesome, man.
He painted it. He gave it to like, dude. He just hooked it up, bro. And he was like, "What do you want on it?" And like in that latex mask, he had latex teeth and stuff in it. And dude, he ended up cutting them out and putting the mesh right there. That because it's very crucial. I breathe and stuff.
Yeah. Of
And
course. Yeah. You want to breathe. Breathing's good.
dude, it's just like you know, whenever you're bands and there's blackout stage with Mushroomhead, bro, we would have to be careful where we point our flashlights because you're not just a normal band. You're talking, and it'd just be like with the Freak. Whenever I'd wrestle and stuff, it was just cool getting to see that same concept. The
Right.
lights and stuff with the masked band becomes like lasers because you lose all your peripheral and you go to like that, you know?
Right. Right.
That little hole right there is all you see, and it's beam of lights. And but having Kisner touch my mask and making everything safe for me was just a dream come true, dude.
Super cool, dude. So Dayton, you said on the subject of teching and just speaking out loud. I'm assuming you said out loud instead of out loud. I've been always thinking about putting my current career and on hold and pursuing my dream of teching and touring just to get out of my system. Okay. Yeah, so on that subject, man, you know, you don't ever want to sit there and say what if, you know, like if you were just like, man, what if I would have done this, or what if I would have done that? Um, that's the bigger thing that I would think about mostly is, did you give it your all? Did you do the things you wanted to do in life? And it sounds like you're kind of thinking about those things now. You're thinking about like what you want to do in the career, that path you want to take, and the experiences you want to take. So I would absolutely jump on that take right now. Like, it might give you that opportunity to get where you want. And if it doesn't, at least you're going to be able to have the road paved in a way where, I don't know, the best way I can describe it is, I always wanted to be on stage and I always wanted to do the show. That was the thing I wanted to do. But at the end of the day, having those experiences I got to have, and getting on the road and meeting the people I got to meet, and seeing the world for what it is, and meeting so many people in so many different cultures was huge. And it was just a great thing to do. It was just awesome. So, yeah, absolutely. Take that advantage to do that for sure. I would definitely do that. So if you were to give a piece of advice to someone, Dave, that's starting out being part of a road crew in a tour with a band, what one piece of advice would you give them? And while you're doing that, I'm going to take a really quick break. So be nice to everyone.
Man, my middle name is the nicest of the nice. So
I'll be right back, guys.
The one advice I can always give anybody, whether you want in either starting or looking to go on tour, be an open book, be a sponge. Don't know everything, because you don't. If you think you know it, don't even go on tour. Straight up. If you think you know everything, don't go on tour. If you're not willing to learn and willing to absorb stuff in like a sponge, you're not going to go nowhere, because everybody's got their own unique ways. Everybody's got their own things. I've toured with multiple bands, multiple entities, and not one is the same. Not one. I've toured with Skin Lab. You had a band full of dreads. I had Panic. You had a pirate. You had a guy in jiu-jitsu. I toured with, Mushroomhead. You guys had like mutant people, mass band. And then I went from midget wrestling, and not one was the same. And the one thing, if I could give advice, is be a sponge. That's the best advice. Don't know everything, because you don't. Everything is limitless. Like it it's weird. It's just it's unique. If you think you know everything, I guarantee you don't know everything.
My piece of advice that I would give someone starting out, and this is good because Dayton was asking that question, like he was actually talking about giving up his career as being a musician, but going on the road as a tech instead, to kind of live out that life and see how that takes him. But if there was a brand new person sitting here right now saying, what would be that one piece of advice that you would give someone? And I don't say this to scare anybody, but I say this in just forewarning, and I'm sure Dave can agree with me on this, is be prepared to give up everything in your life to go do it, because you're going to be gone a lot and you're probably not going to make a ton of money. And
No.
It's going to be a lot of work, and you're hardly ever going to see your family. You're hardly ever going to see people that you used to hang out with all the time. You're going to be broke. You're going to it's part of earning those stripes. And once you earn those stripes, though, you'll be able to go in a lot of different places once you get your name out there and start, being more of a familiar face. So that would be my one. I can't even talk. That would be my one piece of advice, is just be prepared to leave everything behind. That would be the thing I would say.
And my biggest piece of advice, if you guys think this is the 80s and we're living off record deals, we're not.
Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, like you guys, Because man, Jerry, I know you're a big witness on this because we talked this before we started the stream,
Yeah.
bro. You know everybody's all like, oh, dude, you're like on all these big tours, you're getting like all
Oh
this
no.
stuff.
Yeah.
No, no, you're not. And like when you do actually get the day off at hotels, like for instance with Mushroomhead, there'd be days, man, we get like the one big band room that everybody be sharing. So
Yeah.
you know those days, I'd be like, man, guys, I love y'all, but I'm getting my own room. Fuck off, like leave me alone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll see y'all at
Yeah.
checkout.
Yeah. Because I mean, you're nut to butt with those guys 24
Yeah,
7, 7 days a week until you do have get a day off. And that's about the only thing cool about having a day off was having just some time away from people. Sometimes you need it, you
yes.
know?
It
Uh,
was all like, no matter what, just to bring in the extra money and the extra side hustle on days off. Everybody'd be like, dude, what did you do on days off? I'm like, bro, to be honest, I ended up doing the band wardrobe laundry for like Mushroomhead. You can only imagine
yeah.
how oh my god, the
Yeah. That's a
cringe
task, I'm
smell.
sure.
And I mean, and it's nothing personal on them. Like it's just part of the gig. Like
So,
they play with water and everything.
like, after asking that one piece of advice you'd give someone, what are like some, because I got my go-tos, but what are some tools that you found most important to have while working as a road crew?
As a road crew,
Yeah.
man, one of the biggest tools is, bro, everybody always thinks the band, 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 band. Like it's all about the band. No, fuck that. Whenever I'm out on the road crew or out on tour, the closest people I got in that camp are my brothers, my road crew brothers.
Yeah, but what are the tools? What are like the most important tools that you would use daily, day in, day out? What would
Teamwork, crescent wrench,
Okay.
communication.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, those are the three biggest ones.
My number one thing, and it's you can guide people with it and you can like really get your point across to people with it, is a flashlight. My
Oh yeah.
flashlight was my best friend because it's like, if I needed to communicate with my front of house engineer and let him know we're ready to go on stage, guess what? You see that flashlight across the crowd. You know what I mean? Or if
Oh yeah.
someone
No.
if someone was creating some chaos and there was kind of like some misconstrued, like nobody knew exactly who it was, and I saw the person of who it was, I took my flashlight, point that person out like he was like spotted. I'm like, get that asshole out of here. Like, do you have like a favorite place that you actually went to when you toured? Was there a favorite place you ever went to?
Oh, bro, there was so many favorite places.
Yeah, no, I get that. But is there one that
My
just sticks out to you that was like just super awesome? Like a place that you went to that was just, man, this was awesome. Like,
look, dude, what there was, and no matter how many times I got to be there, definitely when I got in the Mushroom Head camp, the Agora, bro. You
okay.
know, just like here, all their local hands and stuff, bro. Like a lot of people would be locally normally who work for Mushroom Head. But like I was one of the few big guys who they like flew the hell out there. Like and everybody's all like,
Yeah.
oh my god, you gotta be somebody like get flown out. Like they don't fly nobody. And you know, everybody like one day where I sort of knew where I somehow meant lived it, bro. I kid you not. There was like 20 kids, like, and these are hands, volunteers, not even stage hands getting paid like you and I did working the local shows. We're
Yeah.
talking like legit volunteers. Like sometimes if you go to a Guar concert and they have all their volunteers, you know, people helping for free with the
Yeah.
stage hands. They
Absolutely.
got so many big moving parts.
Right.
But dude, when we got to a point of the day, like I'm just smoking a cigarette and a joint, and I'm like trying to get my thoughts before the big hometown Cleveland show. And before I know it, I'm surrounded by all these vendors, and everybody's just all like, how did you get here? Can you tell us? And everybody just like sat around me and like lit up their joints and like we want all your knowledge, and like to get like that many people, like, wow. And then I came home and Max was sort of the same way, man. He goes, "This is my boy Minnie. You do big things, and you get noticed." And like all the hands kept just asking me, "Dude, how do you get to go on tour? How do you tour on big tour buses?" You know, the one thing, like I told why you stepped away earlier, the one biggest thing, that the biggest advice, the biggest thing ever, if you're looking to tour, be a sponge. That's all I can say. Be a sponge. Dude, like one show that I was working with Shroom, and everybody just thought we were the nicest guys coming in, and definitely like being so strong as we did after the day. I it was Man, I can't remember exactly where in Florida, but we were playing in Florida, and we were like already 2.5 hours still away, and we woke up to a wreck, and everybody just realizing like, oh my god, we could have. And that was my first one, but Mushroomhead's second time as a band in a big accident, a bus like that.
Yeah.
And everybody was just, we were so scared. But when we got to the venue, like, dude, all the bands on the tour package just sort of like stepped in and helped us. And then once we caught our bearings and sort of, all right, we're good, we're good.
Yeah.
Everybody's all
Surreal.
like, we're all like, hey, we just want to take a minute and thank everybody. We love you guys. Like, sorry, we're sort of like a little bit scared and shaken up, but everybody just came back and was like, "Thank you guys for just
Yeah,
being so
absolutely. I know
cool,
that
so
feeling.
humble." They're like, when most people when they're in the wreck, they're like, "Ah, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you," and would have
Yeah.
been a whole nother mess.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're like, "Thank you, we're alive. Thank you."
Yeah.
And I mean, bro, it was a real eye opener.
Yeah. I can relate to that. It happened to us when I was in we were in Germany on the Autobahn. We got freaking hit in a car wreck with Fear Factory. And it makes you rethink some things. Our
Yeah,
bus driver that night quit that night. He was a bus driver for 20 years, but he was so freaked out, and he was just so, it messed him up so bad. The minute it happened and he got his bearings just for a second, he walked out the door and was just like puking profusely out on the ditch because he realized how close he was to losing his own life. And in 20 years, he said he's never been in a car wreck like that or bus accident before. And, he had kids, family, all that stuff. And so he quit that day, gone, like never bus ride ever again, like was done. What is like, and you can relate to this on tour, or you can just genuinely say, hey, this is what bugs me in daily life. But what's one of your biggest pet peeves?
man. I said it all before we even interviewed. Don't be a can't person. I don't
Okay.
like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because man, if you can't do it, you can't be here. That's how I was always taught. One
Yeah.
of my favorite people, and you know him too. And when I say this, I say it with the most heart, the most love. But my favorite, most loved asshole was Zach Higgins. That dude, he was the littlest dude, the biggest asshole, but everybody at the end of the day, everybody loved Higgins. And when I say that, I say all that with love. No harshness, no nothing. But if you truly knew Higgins, he was your asshole. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? And Higgins would just be that guy.
Yeah.
And he always tell me, Minnie, midget, you can't do this. Minnie, you can't do that. David, you can't do this. And he was sort of one of the people who got me to be where I am. I'm like, oh, I can't? I
Yeah.
can't, huh?
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Here I
Yeah.
am with I can.
That was his way of pressing you and making you do
Oh,
the things.
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
'Cause you're
When
like, oh,
when,
I'm
when
going to show
Higgins
you.
saw something, when Higgins saw something in you, Higgins brought it out or he'd let you go.
Yeah. Yep.
There was no in between. You couldn't really float. You either made it or you were out of there.
Right.
And,
100%.
and Well, one of the best things that Higgins ever told me, and I love it still. I still talk about it all the time.
Mhm.
But dude, Higgins one day, me and him working, and we're brothers by this point. We're close, and he goes, we're smoking a joint. He goes, man, midget, Minnie, I thought you were a gimmick when you first started this all these years ago, and man, you ended up turning to be the one guy who I was like, watch, he's going to be the guy who says, I can't do this and I can't do that. He goes, you went from the can't to the can.
Yeah.
And he goes, I trust you big. He goes, you may be the littlest dude, but I trust you with the biggest stuff than the guy who's 6'8" back there. You know,
That's
I know
awesome,
what you
dude.
can throw. And man, Higgins was just that dude taught me how to have tough skin
Yeah.
for real.
Yeah.
I'll still never forget one time we were rocking
Sean
Oklahoma.
Sean Sean McGillicuddy was my Higgins.
Oh
So
yeah, McGillicuddy was mine. McGillicuddy will tell you how I got started and really known in this industry was cause of Sean. One day, bro, I kid you not, and then a few weeks later, he caught me walking in the rain. But dude, it was like almost a blizzard. And you remember the big old auto show, not the one that for the fairgrounds, but the big auto show, that one
yeah.
that you before they built the big new Bennett Center, the one that took the three buildings, the TNT, the Centennial, in the Cox Pavilion.
Right.
And bro, one time it was like a blizzard. It was snowing. McGillicuddy's driving like 15 miles an hour, and he sees this little black thing just trying to like hop over the big snow drifts and stuff. And he just pulls over, and it's me. And he goes, "What the hell are you doing walking?" And I'm just going to work, bro. Like I gotta get there somehow. And he goes, "Get the hell in my car, but anybody willing to walk in a blizzard is a guy I need on every and all my calls." And from that moment on, Sean told everybody, you missed yesterday's call in a blizzard. This guy walked in a blizzard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have no excuse.
Right.
And it was just, bro, the best thing I can tell you, if you're looking to get in this industry and looking to do this, don't take Kent with you.
What are 3 bands that you would recommend to my audience?
Number one, because man, they've been on my radar for a moment now. Dude, have you heard Howard Jones' new band, Light the Torch?
Yes, I have heard of it.
Dude, Light the Torch is one of the best newest bands out right now. Like,
Okay.
oh my God. Without a doubt, one of my all-time favorite people, no matter whether it's Acid Bath, Agents of Oblivion, motherfucking Dax Riggs, first and foremost, Dax fucking Riggs. If you don't know who Dax Riggs is, check Dax Riggs out.
Okay.
And then, last but not least, just because we've talked about them and that they're a big part of my history, besides obviously everybody panic and Ricketts. But the band that made me start it off, Mushroomhead.
If you could go back and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Just don't stop reaching, bro.
Okay.
To be honest, like, just don't stop, quit dreaming. Like, because at that time, there were so many people, you can't do this, you can't do that. I would have just been that extra little brace. No, bro, you got this. You got this. Just move,
Right. Right.
move. And
Absolutely.
that's what I would honestly tell myself, dude.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, you gotta have your failures to get to your successes. So
Yeah, absolutely. You can't have success without failure. That's for sure. That's the
nope.
only way you learn.
And with
Um,
every what people fail to realize before you ask me the last question, for every positive there's a negative. For every negative there's a positive. Just the way life works.
yep.
Get
Yep.
back when you get that negative, you got to get back to the positive. You
Right.
can't if you just sit and mourn and all you think about is that negative, you're just retrieving all negative. You want positive energy, You gotta go out there and get it yourself. Don't let it hit you in the lap because it's not
Right.
gonna find you. I guarantee you, it's not gonna find you.
Absolutely. So my final question that I always ask as well is, what is one question you wished I would have asked, and how would you have answered?
You never asked me about any everybody panic stories. That's where I got my start, really.
Okay. So what question? So the question would be what about it?
What would have been your favorite everybody panic moment? And how I would have answered would have been when we got to do Knotfest back in 2015.
Okay.
And bro, we literally got to smoke dabs and do shit with fucking Sid Wilson and everything. And what was just funny with Sid, even though he choked me, but then in another picture, but he goes, I don't want you to post it. I
Uh-huh.
want to be, because I used to always do this series of choking a mini. I had every rock star, everybody in general, if you wanted to, you choke a mini, because that's what me and Ty would do. You know,
Okay.
Ty with jiu-jitsu and stuff. Well, anyway, Sid was all like, bro, have you ever choked anybody? And I was like, no. And Sid goes, I want to be the first mini choked. And when you hear, but like, dude, I even though I'm a big metal guy, but before I was even into metal, I've always listened to rap and stuff. And one of my favorite things in rap is scratch and stuff, and DJ and
Okay.
Sid Wilson, dude. Everything that dude touches is gold. Like I like his DJ Scar Scream a little bit better nowadays than Slipknot sometimes. Like it's just that good. And what he does, and when he said that, bro, that was like the icing of the cream, like the icing on the cake for me.
Well, that's it for that interview, and that finalizes season 1, episode 8. So thank you guys so much for sticking around through the video, and a big shout out to Dave Davis again for taking time out his day to come out on my show. So, and also big shout out to all of you. Thank you so much. Without your support, I wouldn't be here doing this. So if you guys want more of this content and want to get notified of it, just go ahead and hit that bell here on YouTube. And that way you guys get notified, and hit that subscribe button. That way you'll get notified as well whenever I get a new video coming out. Also, if you want to see these live, head on over to my Facebook page at Jerry Lowlife Interviews. Hit that follow button. That way you guys will get notified anytime I do another live event. It's every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I have someone in the entertainment industry on my show. It could be anything. It could be anyone from someone that's a music artist to someone that's working backstage to someone that works in sideshow. I've even had film producers on my show. So hit those follow buttons, hit those subscribe buttons, hit those likes, help those algorithms. Let's get this out to more people. But more than anything, I appreciate all of you, and thank you so much for everything. You guys have yourself an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Until next time, Jerry Lowlife out.